In the dusty corners of a small Nigerian town where dreams often took a back seat to the struggle for survival, Hannah distinguished herself. Not through wealth or connections, but rather through her indomitable spirit. Her hands, calloused from hard work, and her mind, sharpened by ambition, made her a standout at her local school. Though her worn-out shoes and patched uniform told a different tale, her teachers often murmured that she was destined for greatness. After completing secondary school, while many waited for miracles, Hannah seized the moment. Armed with a borrowed chair, a comb, and scissors, she transformed herself into one of the finest hairstylists in the area. Clients flocked to her, drawn not only by her talent but also by the warmth of her smile and the captivating stories she shared while braiding hair. Living simply with her parents and younger siblings in a cozy house that exuded the scent of love and boiled corn, Hannah's mother sold vegetables at the market, while her father, stern and skeptical, worked as a welder. Life was challenging, but Hannah made sure they always held on to hope. One humid afternoon, as the sun blazed overhead, Hannah was busy styling the hair of a refined client, Madame Vic, a woman renowned for her wealth, elegance, and taste. Hannah had styled her hair before, but today felt different. With the grace of an artist, she braided Madame Vic's hair, oblivious to the life-altering moment approaching. Once Hannah secured the final knot, Madame Vic turned to her and said, "You have great talent, my dear. Have you ever considered working abroad?" Confused, Hannah blinked and replied, "Abroad, ma? I would like to sponsor you," Madame Vic continued with a gentle smile. "I can help you get a job at a prestigious salon in the US where you'll earn far more than you would here." Time seemed to stop, Hannah's heart raced and her throat felt dry. "Ma, are you serious?" she managed to ask. "I don't joke about opportunity," Madame Vic assured her. Tears filled Hannah's eyes as she responded, "Thank you, ma. God bless you. I would love that, truly." That evening, Hannah rushed home, barely able to contain her excitement, and her mother wept with joy. As Hannah praised God over and over, her father leaned back with his arms crossed, questioning, "Are you sure she isn't a scammer or, even worse, a ritualist?" "No, Daddy, I've known her for years. She's honest and has helped me get many customers." Still, he grunted, unconvinced. But something was igniting within Hannah's soul. She glimpsed a path ahead. It was filled with fear, perhaps, but also illuminated with golden light, and she was determined to walk it, even if it meant leaving everything familiar behind. In the days following Madame Vic's promise, the world around her morphed into a whirlwind of paperwork, photos, and signatures. Hannah didn't even possess a passport, but Madame Vic managed everything for her. Within months, she was set to cross oceans. The town buzzed with gossip, some labeled her lucky, while others whispered dark prophecies about wealthy women and hidden secrets. Yet Hannah remained steadfast in her faith and ambition. Before her departure, Madame Vic insisted on meeting Hannah's family. "I want them to know who is taking their daughter across the world," she emphasized. At the modest family compound, Hannah's mother served chilled malt and jollof rice, trembling slightly, while her father sat silently, arms crossed as usual. "I recognized how hardworking your daughter is," Madame Vic began calmly, "and I want to help her succeed. I've arranged a job for her with a trusted friend who owns a salon in the US. She will be safe and flourish." Hannah's father scrutinized her for a long moment before giving a slight nod, neither full approval nor outright resistance. The day of her departure arrived, heavy with emotion. Her mother clung to her like a child, weeping, while her siblings cried, too young to comprehend the weight of goodbye. Her father hung back, hands in his pockets, quiet, until Hannah turned to board the bus to the airport. "Just once, don't forget who you are," he called out. The journey was long and fraught with anxiety, the airplane humming like a distant storm, and sleep eluded Hannah. What if she failed? What if her father was right? Yet upon landing, the United States skyline greeted her like a dream woven from silver. Madame Vic's friend, a stern but kind woman named Miss Lana, welcomed her at the airport. "You'll start working in my salon tomorrow," Miss Lana declared. "We take our work seriously here. Can you handle that?" "Yes, Ma," Hannah replied, her voice steady even as her heart raced. The salon was a dazzling world of lights, mirrors, and clients with lofty hair aspirations. Hannah worked as if her life depended on it, because it did. She learned quickly, smiled often, and remained humble. Impressed by her diligence, Miss Lana watched as Hannah flourished. Every month, Hannah sent money home, ensuring her brothers remained in school and helping her mother rebuild her market stall after a fire. Her father said little over the phone, always answering but sometimes just uttering, "Okay, I got it," before hanging up. Nevertheless, Hannah didn't mind. To her, love meant sacrifice, and she was giving everything she had. Then came the significant leap. After years of saving, Hannah finally opened her own salon, a quaint yet inviting space tucked away in a quiet corner of Atlanta. It wasn't extravagant, but it belonged to her. The first time she unlocked that door, tears streamed down her face. She had done it alone, without a man or shortcuts, just through sheer hard work and faith in God. Her business thrived, her reputation blossomed, clients traveled from far and wide seeking the Nigerian girl with the magical touch. Then John entered her life. They met online, and he was charming, sweet, making her laugh like she hadn't in years. He lived in Nigeria and called himself a businessman, speaking of love and building a future together. Hannah, who had always given so much to others, longed for something for herself: love, companionship, a home. She started sending him money, initially small amounts, then larger sums. He told her he was purchasing land for them, then a house, saying, "When you come home, we'll have our place, our future." Hannah believed him. She even sent extra to furnish it. And when he requested more to register a business, she didn't hesitate. After all, hadn't she assisted everyone else? But not everyone disappeared from Hannah's life. One day, she received a Facebook message from Agnes, an old friend from back home. "Hannah, I'm sorry to disturb you. I need help. It's my final year at university, and I lack enough for my fees. I don't know who else to ask." Hannah smiled and replied, "Send your account number." She sent more than Agnes needed and told her to keep the change. "You've always been so kind," Agnes responded. Little did Hannah know that this simple act would resonate more than anything else she had done. Back in Nigeria, her family continued to receive her support each month, their lives becoming more comfortable. Her father managed a small but thriving business, made possible by Hannah's unwavering commitment. Remittances aside, Hannah was oblivious to the surprises that awaited her upon her return home. It was finally time to reunite with the man who claimed her heart, and to put her trust in love to the test. Without informing anyone, especially not John, she booked her ticket. It had been 10 long years since Hannah had set foot in Nigeria. As the plane descended, she felt a soft jolt, her heart racing with anticipation. Not a single person, family, friends, or John, knew of her plans. This trip was not merely a homecoming, it was a quest for clarity. She needed to discern who had been genuine and who had merely been riding her tide of success. Jumping into a cab from the airport, she headed straight to the address John had given her months earlier, the one he claimed was their home. A sleek, white gate loomed in front of her, and her heart fluttered with a mix of hope and anxiety. She envisioned the moment he would burst through the door, arms wide open, tears of joy in his eyes. She knocked once, but no one answered. Pushing the gate open, she stepped inside, and John appeared, shirtless and wide-eyed. "Hannah, what are you doing here?" he exclaimed. "I wanted to surprise you," she replied softly, trying to gauge his reaction. "Aren't you happy to see me?" "Of course. I wasn't expecting you. Wait here, let me arrange a hotel for you so you can rest." Hannah's heart dropped. "A hotel? Why would I stay in a hotel? John, isn't this our house?" Before John could respond, the front door creaked open again, revealing a young, pregnant woman standing barefoot with her hand resting on her belly. "Who is she, John?" she demanded, her eyes narrowing at Hannah. Hannah's world shattered. She turned to John. "Who is she, John?" He stood frozen, sweat beading on his forehead. I can explain. You told me you were single. You took my money. You said this was our house. Hannah's voice trembled as tears brimming in her eyes spilled over. The woman stepped back, whispering something under her breath. Without waiting for further explanation, Hannah turned and walked away, her chest burning with betrayal and her hands shaking. She caught a cab and checked into the nearest hotel, slamming the door behind her and collapsing onto the bed. 10 years of loyalty and a life built together had crumbled into nothing. As her thoughts spiraled, she realized that if John could betray her so easily, what did that mean for the rest, her family, her so-called friends? Staring at the cracked ceiling, a strange calm enveloped her. She would test them too. She decided to bury the truth, pretending to be broke, pretending she had been deported, allowing them to see her with nothing, no cars, no dollars, no power. Then, she would finally discover who loved Hannah as a person, not just as a provider. With her heart still in pieces, she reached for her phone and called home. "Daddy, I'm back in Nigeria. Can you come pick me up?" Hannah stood by the roadside, clutching a worn duffel bag. And dressed in intentionally wrinkled, second-hand clothes. Her usually immaculate hair was tucked under an old scarf, and she bore no resemblance to the successful woman she had once been. A rusty car pulled over, and her father stepped out, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Hannah?" he asked. She nodded, keeping her eyes downcast. "It's me, Daddy." He opened the door without saying a word. The drive home was silent, thick with unspoken questions. Upon arriving, her mother rushed out, arms wide, but halted abruptly when she took in Hannah's disheveled appearance. "My God, what happened?" Inside, Hannah took a seat on the couch, her hands trembling. "I was deported," she lied. "They accused me of a crime I didn't commit. Everything I worked for, it's all gone." Her mother began to weep, and her father began to pace, his jaw clenched. "You mean you didn't bring anything back?" he asked. Hannah shook her head. "Nothing." An uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Later that evening, her younger brother returned home, staring at her as if she were a ghost. "Is this really you?" he inquired. "I thought you'd come back with big cars and designer bags." "What happened?" Hannah forced a smile. "Life happened." In the days that followed, the atmosphere at home grew cold. Her father barely spoke, her brothers muttered in hushed tones, and the only one who acted with kindness was her mother, cooking what little they had and serving Hannah in silence. The warmth that had once enveloped their home during her prosperous times had vanished. Exactly 1 week later, her father confronted her in the living room. "So what's your plan?" he asked. "I don't know yet," Hannah replied, her gaze fixed on the floor. "I just need some time." His tone hardened. "You've been here long enough. I can't have a grown woman just crying and doing nothing. We expected better." "Daddy, I just got back. I need to find my footing." "No, you need to leave. 1 more week, and then you go." Hannah's lips quivered. "But this is the house I bought for you." His expression twisted in anger. "You're not the only one struggling. I built my business through hard work, and I sent you money every month. That's done now, isn't it?" Her brothers echoed his coldness, one whispering, "Auntie Hannah is too stingy." Hannah's heart shattered further. On her last day in the house, her father threw her bag outside. "You can't stay here crying every day." "I don't 'cause your deportation." Only her mother dared to approach. She pressed 300,000 naira into Hannah's palm. "If I had any power in this house, I'd let you stay. Take this, my daughter. Please don't hate me." Tears streamed down Hannah's face as she replied, "Thank you, Mama." And with that, she walked away from the house she had bought, from the family she had supported for a decade, now treating her like a burden they never wanted. Dragging her bag along the sidewalk, her body weighed down by exhaustion and unanswered questions. She wondered if she had ever been more than just a financial resource to them. Did they ever genuinely love her, or simply what she provided? Stopping near a dilapidated hotel, ready to spend her last night in tears, a familiar voice called her name. "Hannah." It was Agnes, the girl Hannah had once helped with university fees, and the same girl who had cried out in gratitude in a Facebook message years ago. Now, Agnes stood before her, a plastic bag of groceries in hand, rushing over to embrace her tightly. "My God, Hannah, is it really you?" In that moment, Hannah broke down right there on the street, crying into her old friend's shoulder. Years of silence, sacrifice, and betrayal poured out in her wordless sobs. Agnes remained unfazed. "Come," she said gently. "Come home with me." They walked through dusty streets until they arrived at a modest, old house, with chipped paint and creaky floors, but filled with warmth. The aroma of fried plantain wafted through the air. Agnes introduced her to her parents, who wore worn clothing yet had the kindest smiles Hannah had seen since her return. "This is Hannah," Agnes announced. "The woman who paid my final year school fees when no one else would. She's the reason I graduated." Agnes's mother gasped and enveloped Hannah in a hug. "We've prayed for you, even though we never met you. You saved our daughter's future." That night, they all sat on the floor to share a modest meal of yam and stew. There wasn't much, but they made room for each other, passing around water in one cup, laughing softly. In that moment, Hannah had never felt richer. Over the following weeks, she stayed in their home, sleeping on a mat next to Agnes. They visited the salon together, as Agnes had followed in Hannah's footsteps and become a hairdresser too. Business was slow, but they found joy in their work together. Hannah shared stories, dreams, and moments of silence, yet she never revealed the truth about John, her fabricated deportation, or the money. Not just yet, she wanted to heal first. One evening, as they walked home beneath the setting sun, Hannah turned to Agnes and said, "You didn't ask anything of me, you simply opened your door." "Why?" Agnes smiled and replied, "Because you did the same for me. Helping someone shouldn't come with a price tag. You do it and let God handle the rest." Hannah looked at her with wide eyes brimming with emotion. "You have no idea how much that means," she said. Agnes shrugged, saying, "I have a sense of it." That night, while lying on the floor of a humble yet loving home, Hannah realized something she had forgotten amidst her success. Home isn't defined by location, blood ties, or comfort. It exists where hearts welcome one another without demanding anything in return. The next morning, Hannah awoke with a newfound clarity in her heart, like a storm had passed and left her with fresh air. She had seen enough of those who judged, took, or turned away when they thought she had nothing. They had failed the test, but one person hadn't, Agnes. It was now time for Hannah to unveil her truth. She looked over at Agnes, still sleeping beside her on the floor, wrapped in a blanket. The peeling ceiling hovered above them, and while the walls were cracked, Hannah had felt more love in this house than in the mansion she had once built for her family. That day, she quietly whispered to herself, "Everything changes." Later that afternoon, Hannah invited Agnes and her parents for a drive. She arranged for a clean car and wore the ragged clothes she had been using for weeks. They didn't ask questions, they simply came along. "Where are we going?" Agnes inquired, curiosity lighting up her face. "You'll see," Hannah responded. She took them to the house that John had claimed to have built with her money. The white gate still stood, and memories of betrayal and hurt flashed before her, but she remained unfazed. Agnes gasped, "This place is beautiful. Why are we here?" Hannah offered a faint smile and handed her a folded piece of paper. "What's this?" Agnes asked, opening it. "It's the deed of ownership." Agnes's eyes widened in disbelief. "This house, it's yours now," Hannah said softly. "What? No, I don't understand." Agnes stammered. "I won a court case against a man I once trusted who deceived me. But I took it back. The house, the one I believed was built on love, now belongs to me, and I'm giving it to you." Agnes's parents exchanged stunned glances, her mother's hands trembling while her father sat speechless on the steps. "But why?" Agnes whispered, tears forming. "Because you loved me even when I had nothing," Hannah replied. "I wanted to see who would stand by me in my lowest times. My family failed me, John failed me, but you succeeded. You provided me with shelter, food, and kindness even without my asking. Agnes broke down in tears, embracing her. I didn't do it to gain anything back, I swear. Hannah reassured her. I know, and that's why you're the only one who deserves everything. Agnes's parents knelt and began to pray aloud, their voices trembling with gratitude. May God uplift you, Hannah. May your name remain blessed, and may your cup overflow. Hannah wept with them, then took Agnes's hand. I didn't return defeated, I came back to build a greater life, and I want you to be part of it. Come with me to the US, we'll build something real together. Agnes stared at her, stunned. Do you mean it? I've never meant anything more, Hannah affirmed. As the sun dipped behind the white walls of what once symbolized betrayal, it transformed into a beacon of redemption, friendship, and a future no one could ever take from them again. Weeks flew by as Hannah moved forward with purpose. She had money, legal power, and clarity, but what she still sought was closure. One morning, she drove to the house she had purchased for her parents, the same home from which her father had evicted her. This time, she wore her best clothes, free of disguises or tricks. There was nothing left to conceal. Her father's once thriving business had collapsed after he took a loan and invested in a scam company that vanished with his money. Now, he was stripped of pride, with the bank demanding payment, as they intended to seize the house. Inside, Hannah found her mother crying, the stress etched on her face, while her brothers sat in silence, bitter and broken. Her father was slumped in a chair, gazing like a man who had lost everything. As Hannah walked in, a heavy silence enveloped the room like a thunderclap. Her mother rushed towards her, exclaiming, Hannah, you're here. Thank God, please help us, the bank is going to take the house. Her father coughed, meticulously avoiding her gaze, as they revealed, we have a week to pay, or we lose everything. Hannah surveyed the room slowly, the house she had financed, the family she had uplifted, the people who allowed her to sleep on the streets she'd once helped pave with her generosity. She sat down and said, voice steady but sharp, let me tell you something, I was never deported. I lied to see who genuinely loved me, who would treat me the same in my struggles. Her mother gasped at the revelation. You lied? Yes, Hannah replied, her gaze fixed on her father. I learned what I needed to the moment I stopped giving. You threw me out like trash after everything I did and gave for you. Her father attempted to respond, but words escaped him. I built this house, she continued, standing now and raising her voice. I funded your comfort, I put your sons through school, I gave you my blood. And the one time I sought shelter, you cast me to the streets. Tears streamed down her mother's face. We were frightened, we didn't know how to help you. Hannah countered, no, you didn't wish to help me. You wanted what I could offer. That's not love, it's convenience. After a pause, Hannah reached into her bag and placed an envelope on the table. Here, enough to settle the bank loan, and an extra amount for you, Mama. But after this, don't contact me unless you remember who I am, not just what I can provide. Her mother fell to her knees, grasping Hannah's leg, crying, I'm sorry, we failed you. Her brothers hung their heads in shame while her father finally met her gaze, his eyes reddened. You were always the strongest. We were just too blinded to see it, he murmured. Hannah turned to leave, declaring, I have people who treat me like family, even without blood ties. Now, I am going to build with them. She walked out with her head held high, and this time, no one dared to stop her. At the airport, a sea of people was bustling around, yet Hannah stood calm amidst the chaos, with just a single suitcase and Agnes by her side. Agnes clutched her passport, as if it were made of gold, her eyes were wide, and her hands trembled slightly. I can hardly believe this is happening, she exclaimed. Hannah smiled, believe it. You earned it. Weeks prior, Hannah had quietly secured Agnes's travel documents and sponsorship, much like how her own life had been transformed under Madame Vic's wings. Now she was extending that same grace to someone else. I never even dreamed of going to the US, Agnes whispered. You didn't need to dream. You had the heart, and that's more than most, Hannah replied. Behind them, Nigeria faded away like a photograph in the rearview mirror, familiar and beautiful but also tinged with lessons learned. John had been arrested, and Hannah's court case had gone viral, stirring messages from women who thanked her for exposing fraud and betrayal. Yet, Hannah paid little heed to the attention. Her purpose was for herself and for every woman who had given everything yet received lies in return. After covering her family's loan, Hannah faded from their lives, erasing them just as they had once erased her. No longer angry, she was merely done. Her mother occasionally called, but Hannah rarely picked up. Her heart had shifted. She had mourned the loss and was now focused on rebuilding through truth. As the flight began boarding, Agnes turned to her one last time, asking, "Hannah, how did you become so strong?" Hannah smiled, a mixture of sadness and pride, replying, "By being broken over and over. But each time, I chose not to remain shattered." They boarded the plane, and as it soared into the sky, a profound peace enveloped Hannah. A weight she had carried for a decade had finally lifted. Back in the US, things progressed swiftly. Hannah expanded her salon into a franchise, opening 2 new branches. She invited Agnes to join her, not as an assistant or staff but as a partner. Agnes proved herself quickly, exhibiting the same grit and fire Hannah once had. The 2 women built not just a business but a sisterhood. One day, they stood inside their latest salon, with sleek walls and golden lights, staring at the logo above the mirrors that made Hannah pause. Paig Beauty, Hannah plus Agnes, strength and sisterhood. Tears filled her eyes as she stared at the name. It was no longer just hers. The future was shared. That night, as they closed up and walked home in the cool evening air, Hannah gazed at the stars and whispered a prayer, not for more wealth or success, but for more moments like this. Moments when her heart felt full, when her story made sense, when the girl who once braided hair under a mango tree could smile, not because she had succeeded, but because she had inspired others to believe in themselves too. And that was the true reward. If you were in Hannah's position, would you welcome your parents back? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from.